One moment your dog is watching you put on your shoes. The next the door closes. And suddenly the person who means the most to them has disappeared. But what actually goes through a dog's mind when you leave home? Do they simply wait for you to come back, or do they experience something much deeper? The answer is far more emotional and surprisingly human than most people realize. For thousands of years, dogs have evolved alongside us. They don't just live in our homes. They build their entire world around us. To a dog, you're not simply the person who provides food or takes them for walks. You are their routine, their comfort, their source of safety, and in many ways their favorite part of the day. That's why the moment you leave can trigger a chain of emotions that most owners never get to witness. Because what happens after that door closes is an invisible story unfolding inside your dog's mind. The first thing many dogs do after you leave is something surprisingly simple. They watch. Some sit near the window. Others wait by the door. Some move from room to room searching for signs of where you've gone. At first glance, it may look like they're just passing time. But this behavior reveals something fascinating. Dogs understand that people exist even when they're out of sight. They know you haven't vanished forever. Yet knowing that you're gone and understanding when you'll return are two very different things. Unlike humans, dogs don't track time the same way we do. They don't think, my owner will be back in 3 hours. Instead, they experience the passing of time through routines, environmental cues, sound, smells, and habits. This means your absence can feel uncertain. Not because they think you've abandoned them, but because they don't know exactly when their favorite person will walk back through the door. And this uncertainty creates one of the strongest emotional experiences many dogs face every day. But the strange part is, your dog may continue sensing your presence long after you've left. A dog's sense of smell is extraordinary. Scientists estimate that a dog's sense of smell is tens of thousands of times more sensitive than ours. To them, your scent isn't just a smell. It's information. It's comfort. It's familiarity. It's you. That's why many dogs sleep on your clothes, sit near your shoes, or lie on your side of the bed when you're gone. They're surrounding themselves with the scent that makes them feel safe. What looks like a random habit is actually an emotional coping strategy. Your scent acts like a bridge connecting them to you until you return. And this behavior actually means something deeper. Researchers studying the bond between dogs and humans have found that dogs show biological responses similar to those seen in close social relationships. When dogs interact with people they trust, their bodies release hormones associated with bonding and comfort. In other words, your dog doesn't just enjoy being around you. Your presence genuinely changes how they feel. That's one reason many dogs become visibly calmer when their owners are nearby. And why some become restless when they're not. But not every dog reacts to separation in the same way. Some dogs handle it remarkably well. Others struggle more than owners realize. For certain dogs, being left alone creates mild disappointment. For others, it can create significant stress. This is where separation-related behaviors begin to appear. A dog may bark excessively, pace around the house, scratch at doors, whine, or repeatedly check windows and entryways. To an owner returning home, these behaviors might look like disobedience, but often they're emotional responses rather than acts of rebellion. The dog isn't trying to punish you for leaving. They're trying to cope with uncertainty. Imagine suddenly losing contact with the person you trust most without understanding exactly when they'll return. That feeling helps explain why some dogs struggle so much with being alone. What most owners never realize is, dogs are constantly reading patterns. Far more than we think. Long before you actually leave the house, your dog may already know what's about to happen. Picking up your keys, putting on a jacket, grabbing a bag, turning off certain lights. These tiny actions become powerful signals. Many dogs learn them so well that they can predict your departure before you've even reached the door. That's why some dogs become anxious the moment they hear keys jingling. Their brains have connected that sound with separation. In their minds, the event has already started. And perhaps the most fascinating part is that dogs don't simply memorize routines. They anticipate outcomes. They build expectations. This reveals a level of emotional intelligence that many people underestimate. But here's where things become even more interesting. What does your dog actually do while you're gone? Most owners imagine dramatic scenes of sadness. The reality is often more complex. After the initial period of watching, waiting, or searching, many dogs settle into a routine. They sleep a lot. Studies using activity trackers and observation cameras have shown that dogs spend a large portion of alone time resting. This isn't necessarily depression. It's often conservation of energy. Without social interaction, play walks, or stimulation, sleeping becomes the most natural activity. Yet even while resting, many dogs remain surprisingly alert. A distant car door, footsteps outside, the sound of a gate opening. They continuously monitor the environment for clues that you might be returning. It's as if part of their attention remains reserved for you. Waiting, listening, hoping, and then something remarkable happens. The return. For many dogs, this is the emotional highlight of the entire day. You may have been gone for 10 minutes or 8 hours, yet the excitement often looks the same. Tail wagging, jumping, spinning, running circles, bringing toys, happy vocal sounds. Why? Because reunions matter deeply to social animals. Dogs evolved from highly social ancestors that relied on group bonds for survival. Reconnecting with important members of their social group triggers powerful emotional responses. In simple terms, they're genuinely happy to see you. Not because they forgot you existed. Not because they thought you'd never come back. But because your return restores something important. Connection, security, normalcy. Their world feels complete again. But the strange part is, the intensity of your dog's greeting may reveal more than excitement. Researchers have observed that dogs often greet people differently depending on the emotional significance of the relationship. The stronger the bond, the stronger the reaction. Your dog isn't celebrating the door opening. They're celebrating you. And this emotional connection goes even deeper than many people realize. Experiments have shown that dogs often seek comfort from their owners during stressful situations. Much like a child seeking reassurance from a trusted parent. When faced with uncertainty, dogs frequently look to their humans for guidance. Your presence becomes a source of emotional stability. This helps explain why some dogs seem more confident when you're nearby. You aren't just part of their environment. You're part of how they navigate it. And perhaps that's what makes the relationship between humans and dogs so unique. Dogs don't love us because they have to. They choose to trust us. Every day. Again and again. They learn our voices. Recognize our footsteps. Memorize our schedules. Read our moods. And form emotional connections that can last a lifetime. So when you leave home, your dog isn't simply waiting for food treats or a walk. They're waiting for someone who matters to them. Someone whose presence brings comfort to their world. Someone they genuinely care about. The next time you see your dog sitting by the door, lying on your clothes, or greeting you with overwhelming excitement, remember this. Those behaviors aren't random. They're small windows into an emotional life that is richer than most people imagine. A life built on trust, routine, attachment, and connection. The door may close for a few hours, but in your dog's mind the bond never leaves. And maybe that's why no matter how many times you walk out that door, your dog still greets you like the best thing that happened all day. Because to them, you probably are.